Call it the road less traveled. Becoming an assistant district attorney was full of twists and turns for Cherokee Nation citizen Kristin Treager. That's because she worked her way through law school as a professional race car driver.
I'm Kristin Treager. I'm an assistant district attorney in Dallas County and also a retired professional race car driver. I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma, raised in Sand Springs, and we lived on about 7.5 acres in Osage County. So we had motorcycles and a nice bit of land to have fun on. So my dad always loved racing. He would watch Formula One, and we'd wake up early in the morning to watch the live broadcast. So when I was a kid, when I was 7, my parents got me into racing school. There was a retired BMW driver by the name of Alf Gephardt who started a racing school for kids, and he called it Junior Indy. The school isn't functioning anymore, but the track's still there. It's called Junior Raceway Park. And he liked to mentor kids and get them involved in racing, and so that was really the start of it all. I fell in love with it as a kid and had been doing it ever since. When I was 11, I started racing full-size sports cars and did that all through my teens, and that's when I got connected with some sponsors who backed me to race professionally. So in 2013, I was running in the Porsche Club of America series. That year, I raced a Porsche Cup car, and this was a national series. It's called a spec series, which means all the cars are pretty much the same. So it really focuses on driver ability because one car in theory is not going to be faster than the other in and of itself. So I did that for a season, and I won the national championship actually against like 40 other male drivers. I was the only female who was in that championship series. So that was probably the best achievement in my racing career. And then unfortunately, I had a very bad accident when I was racing at Road America in Wisconsin. It was the last lap of the last race. Someone who was not in my same class, because we're split by year of the vehicle, he was kind of at the end of his pack and I was at the top of mine. I was in third place at the time. We were going into one of the very fast turns off of the long front straightaway, and he was behind me and hit me right at the apex of the turn, and my right rear wheel went onto the front part of his hood, which kind of slingshotted me straight up into the air. And so the first flip was end over end, and then started rolling side over side. I was fine, thankfully, but the car was not fine. We call it tubbing a vehicle when the frame of it is just too messed up to fix it and move forward. So unfortunately for my sponsors, it was just too much of a capital loss to continue. So that was unfortunately the end to my racing career. Letting my racing career go was like grieving a loss, and I had to come to terms with it and make my peace with it. Law was like my plan B, but it's a pretty good plan B. My last year of law school was the same time period in which I was running the Porsche Club of America national series. And so I graduated law school, won a national championship, and passed the Oklahoma bar exam all in the same year. So we are in Dallas, Texas. I've moved to Dallas in 2015. This was the start to my really my professional career as an attorney and prosecutor. I applied to the Dallas District Attorney's Office. It's like one of the top 5 largest DA's offices in the United States. Right now, I'm in the Crimes Against Children division. And so we prosecute crimes where children are victims. When I first got moved into the Crimes Against Children division, it was very heavy for me, especially as a newer parent, a new mom. It was giving me a lot of anxiety at first because you see some really terrible and heinous crimes, but I decided to really stick with it because I think the work that I do will have a really good impact on the community and get justice for our most vulnerable in our community.
This man, this defendant.
It depends on the week, but I'm generally meeting with victims, talking to them about their experiences, preparing them for trial if that's the route we're going, looking at my caseload, evaluating cases, figuring out the best way to resolve them, and then preparing for trial, because that is a big part of my job, and that's what I enjoy the most, actually, is being in trial.
Objection, Your Honor, facts not in evidence.
Professionally, I would love to be a judge someday. I think I could do a lot of good for the community. I've had these different life experiences and perspectives that I think would bring a lot of value as a judge, and to be able to do right by the community in that way. So professionally, that would be my, greatest goal to achieve. Law is so important because, in theory, it treats everybody the same. Now, we know in practice that's not always the case, but in theory, if we're all doing our jobs to the best of our ability, the law is supposed to treat all of us the same and give us all the same opportunities. Of course, there are weaknesses and flaws in the system, but, we can effectuate change from the inside, and that's what I hope to do going forward.